Nico, Cuban, good to see you guys back. I was a little bit concerned, but Nico, you hit it out of the park. You did. Stay on the phones. Let's fucking make some moves. Oh! Rashawn Holmes to Dallas. Oh! The Mavs are on the clock, baby! The Mavs are on the clock, baby! Woo! Who else do you know?
Select Olivier Maxwell.
Yes, sir! Let's fucking go! Mavs Twitter, shut it! It's over! Fuck up! We're popping bottles. Please don't spray everywhere. Life is good. There's nothing in here. It's empty. It's a little $5 champagne thing I bought that I saved for this occasion. If the Mavericks had a good draft, I said I would pop a bottle of champagne. And they did, and I popped the bottle on stream. And it was a lot of fun. But this shit is terrible. It's horrible. So I took a couple of sips and dumped it out. Hollywood magic. Let's talk about the draft. Happened last night. This is my least, this is the worst day to get a gauge on how fan bases feel about the draft, right? The best time is in the moment. It's right then and there. How's the fan base feeling? The day after the draft, immediately after the draft, they've watched the highlight videos, right? They've watched the 3.5-minute Twitter videos that only show the best plays. Everybody is bought in. Everybody's already sucked into their prospect, no matter how much they didn't want them 12 hours beforehand. But not me, man. I'm a hater through and through. Like, hand on the Bible. If I didn't like what my team did in the draft, I wouldn't have liked it the next day either. That's why I'm so excited to talk about the Mavericks today. We're going to talk about some of my favorite drafts. Of course, we're mainly going to talk about the Mavericks because I thought outside of like the top 5 picks, the Mavericks had the best draft, right? Obviously the Spurs, I was about to say the Hornets, the Blazers, the Rockets. I thought they all had tremendous drafts. They all had like franchise altering drafts. But for a team outside of the top 10, I don't know if a franchise left feeling better about themselves than the Mavericks. Like, I'm so shocked by what they did. I was fully expecting to come on here the day after the draft and be like, you know what, guys? Clint Capella, like, yeah, his foot's kind of fucked and he's getting older, but we can make it work. Like, they did a good job. You know, guys, John Collins, that contract sucks, but hey, you know what? Maybe we can get something out of him. That's what I was fully expecting. I did not expect what we got last time. That wasn't even, like, in my brain. Trading down, yeah, I thought that was a possibility, but in the way in which they did it, they were smart. I can't believe it. They actually did something smart. So let's just break it down. Like, they went into the draft with the 10th overall pick. They leave the draft. Derek Lively at 12. Bertans is off the roster. You got off of his money. And you draft Omax Prosper with the 24th overall pick. You trade back into the first round and draft Omax for only giving up Bertans and moving down 2 spots. Do we get how crazy that shit sounds? And by all accounts, like Derek Lively, I tweeted this out last night because, of course, Mavs fans cannot have anything nice. I don't know if I've seen a fan base like it. Be a fan however you want to be a fan. I'll never tell you, right? If you want to be overly negative, be overly negative. For some people I see on Twitter at least, and it's not, I'm not trying to it's not like any individual person, right? But Mavs Twitter as a collective is so overwhelmingly negative all the time, although most people seem to really enjoy what the Mavericks did, right? I'm definitely straw manning here a little bit. But as somebody who hated the Cowboys, like I rooted for them, I watched all of their games, they made me so angry, I would like get physically sick as to how much I fucking despise them. I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna take a couple years off. And I did. And my mental health has been much better. Can you guys hear the fucking... I hear mowing. I live in an apartment. There's no grass. What's being mowed? The concrete? Anyways, off that tangent, let's just talk about it, right? By all accounts, Derek Lively was a very real possibility for the Mavericks the entire time. That's why I tweeted out, listen, there was a very real chance the Mavericks drafted Lively at 10 regardless. So you move down 2 spots, get off of Bertans' deal, create a huge traded player exception, and you open up the possibility of using the full MLE. I still don't understand all of this shit, all right? I'm just kind of rambling here. But you do all of that, move down 2 spots, and still probably get your guy. Like, they weren't going to draft Case and Wallace, who went 10th overall. They hopefully we're not going to draft Allen. I was going to say Jared Allen. Jett Howard, who went 11th overall. They get their guy at 12 and they get off of a contract. And with the traded player exception, they absorb Rashawn Holmes' contract with the Kings and move back into the first round to draft Omax Prosper. Now listen, I'm not a draft expert, right? I don't claim to be. I don't watch full games or anything like that. I just watch tape off YouTube, right? So somebody else's tape I watch, right? My very terrible slightly biased big board. I had both of these guys as top 20 players. So the Mavericks leave the draft with two top 20 guys by my estimation, which doesn't mean shit, but still. Derek Lively, 7'7" wingspan, which would immediately be the sixth biggest wingspan, sixth longest, sixth biggest wingspan in the NBA. Most blocks by a freshman in college basketball last year. 9th in the nation in blocks despite only playing 20 minutes per game. And there are some concerns, and a reason why he played 20 minutes per game is foul issues, which he's going to have to iron out. Like, I wasn't like stupidly high on Lively, but I always said I'd be fine with the pick. It makes sense considering what the Mavericks need. Oh, well, don't draft for need. Well, I mean, the problem is anybody around that area were guards. Like, and the Mavericks really don't need guards. He was the number 2 prospect out of high school. Some places had him as the number 1 prospect out of high school. So top 2 at least, depending on where you look. 8 blocks and 14 rebounds in a game against UNC this past season. The first game of March Madness for Duke, they played Oral Roberts in the first round. Oral Roberts went the first 8 minutes of the game without scoring a singular point. And a lot of that had to do with Derek Lively. And as I was doing some research before this video, I was reading about that game. Go and look at what any Duke fan was saying about Lively in the back half of that season. He was a complete and total game wrecker, game changer. I don't remember who it was. It was one of the draft people on YouTube. It's either Hoop Intellect or Coach Spins from Box and One. I don't remember. Sorry, but they said that was one of the most dominant second halves of the season they've ever seen defensively from a player in college basketball. What Lively did in the back half of the season for Duke. His block rates were on par with some of the best defensive prospects ever. The best defensive box plus minus in the country. And that's just the defensive side of things. He's got shooting upside. He's got playmaking upside, which really excites me. Like, offensively, all of the stuff for Lively, run to the rim and dunk. That's all I've seen people say, well, all I can do is run to the rim and dunk. Guess what, man? Guess what he's going to do in Dallas? Run to the rim and dunk. Oh, well, he can't post up. Guess what? I don't want his ass posting up regardless. I think this was a great move by the Mavericks, right? Like, just trading down to 12, getting off Bertans, creating all that stuff, and taking Lively. I would have been okay with the draft. Like, it wouldn't have been a huge home run, but I would have been like, you know what? That was a smart move by the Mavericks. They got their guy anyways. I like what they did. But then to get Omax, who I know Isaac from Locked On Mavs is in love with, but I liked him a lot too heading into the draft. I thought he was just going to be a good pickup for somebody. Didn't really think the Mavericks had a chance to get him. 7'1" wingspan, legit 1-5 versatility as a defender. Like one of the most versatile defenders in the draft. Shot 41% from NBA distance threes this past season. Opponents shot 20. I can't believe this stat's real, but Mark Followell tweeted it out. Opponents shot 24% when guarded by Omax this past season. 24%. He's a really strong finisher. And, you know, I watch him. His defense is incredible. Like, his ability to cover space, his ability to stay in front of guys, his ability to force tough shots, it's remarkable. He always guarded the other team's best players. There's tape of him, like, just punishing Cam Whitmore. There's tape of him following around Jordan Hawkins of UConn, like, following him off screens, off ball movements, like, one of the best movement shooter in the draft. Omax was sticking him the whole game. It's really impressive what this guy does, and I think he has, like, legit plug-and-play upside immediately, like, gets 25 minutes a night immediately as a rookie. And let's just look a little bit beyond who the Mavericks drafted. This process was great. Like, even if you don't love the prospects that they took, even if you're not the highest on Lively, my retort to that would be, I mean, who else are you drafting? Cam Whitmore? Okay, I agree, but Cam Whitmore fell to the 20s. Like, it's not like Cam Whitmore went the next pick. He fell to 20, and the Rockets were the team that took the stab on him. It wasn't like, you know, if Golden State or Miami said, yeah, we got Cam Whitmore, I'd be like, oh, fuck, the league is screwed, right? It's over. But the Rockets, who, you know, that's a good pick for them. High upside, whatever. We'll take a swing. But a lot of front offices who are smarter than the Mavericks also decided to pass on Cam Whitmore even later in the draft. Just the process, right? This is a smart front office thing. Like, this is something the Thunder would do, and you'd be like, oh man, what a smart move. Like, God, they're smart. What a smart organization. I didn't even like trading away a player to a team with salary space so they can move up. You create a traded player exception and you use that to absorb another contract and trade back into the first. That's stuff that smart teams do. And I mentioned this in a video a few weeks ago when I talked about how you can build a winning team in the summer, in the offseason, It's not with these huge splashy trades. It's with smart moves. It's with well-calculated moves. It's doing good things in the draft. It's making smart trades. It's making smart signings. And, they're not always going to pan out. You're going to have draft picks where even if the process was great, you know what? The guy just wasn't NBA ready. He just wasn't ready for the NBA. You're going to make trades that sound great on paper, and, the guy gets hurt, or it's not a great fit, or you make a great signing and it just, for some reason or another, doesn't work out. That happens. But more often than not, right, if you just make smart moves, as time goes on, they're going to pay off. I can't imagine being mad at this. And I've seen people, there was a Mavs Moneyball article earlier that this was a disaster for the Mavericks. And it's just like, man, I thought a lot of people were joking, but Mavs fans really thought they were going to leave the draft with like another fucking star. Like they thought, it's like kind of funny. We're on one end, people like the same people will say that the 10th overall pick, not a lot of value. Ugh, gross. Like I can't believe we got a Lively, disgusting. And then on the flip side, I'd be like, damn, why didn't they trade it for like a solidified all-star level player? Like, do you see the contradictions there? Do you see how your logic's not making sense? And it just watching the draft, it was clearly obvious that it was a crapshoot, man. Like, a lot of these prospects could have gone a lot of different ranges. Teams really weren't that motivated to move up. There were not a lot of trades before, like, the first 20 or so picks of the draft. The Mavericks did the best with what they had, and I thought they did great. The process is so incredibly sound, right? Like, they didn't give up anything. They moved down 2 spots and got off of Bertans' deal in the process. Incredible. And yeah, they brought in Rashawn Holmes too. I'm gonna be real. My initial feeling, I don't know if he even plays for the Mavericks. Like, I could definitely see him in another trade, a few weeks from now, and he's on the move somewhere else. We'll see. I know, like, he's been somebody who's been in mock trades for Mavs fans for probably my entire life. I think I even might be older than Rashawn Holmes. But I don't know how much he plays. Really, it's not that good of a player. Making a good amount of money. Wouldn't be shocked if he's traded. Right, so that's just my opinion on Rashawn Holmes, because I know people are gonna ask. So that's just my stance, man. I'm not like super high on Lively. I think he's going to be good. I don't know if he's gonna be an immediate contributor, but down the line, yeah. And I want to say this really quickly too, right? Because people think, oh, if we don't get Luka immediate help, he's gonna ask out. One, I don't necessarily believe that. I don't think the window for Luka staying is 1 year. Like, I don't see a scenario in which Luka demands a trade a year from now. But listen, even if he does, even if the worst case scenario happens and Luka wants out, it's nice to kickstart your rebuild with young players on the team, right? Like, it would feel a lot better if Luka demands a trade, right? We have to trade Luka or whatever. And Derek Lively's looking good, though, and Omax is looking good, and Hardy and Josh Green. These guys are starting to look like good players. Now we can add in even more young pieces. That feels a lot better than, oh, well, fuck, now we have Capella. Like, what are we supposed to do with Capella? What are we supposed to do with John Collins? Like, this is a nightmare. Let's talk about some other winners in the draft. Portland, I mean, Jesus, congratulations. You got handed a superstar because Charlotte Charlotted their pants. I will not call Portland a winner, though, this offseason unless they trade Dame. Like, it's just time. Rip the Band-Aid off. Let's go. You have the perfect excuse. Shaden Sharp, Scoot Henderson. There's no better way to start a rebuild. Damian Lillard traded for a quadrillion picks. Whatever it is you do, like, you are in perfect position here to restart this shit. They also drafted Keegan Murray and Rupert. I don't really like Rupert that much. Keegan Murray, solid. Atlanta. Kobe Buffkin, baby. I thought Kobe Buffkin was going to go top 10. That's just my love for him. I think he's a great player. A weird fit right now, but it makes me wonder if DeJounte's gone. Like, this is DeJounte insurance. He can play off ball. He can play on ball. But wouldn't be surprised at all if we saw DeJounte Murray traded this season. There's some weird smoke there. Rockets and Spurs. Obviously, the Spurs get Wembanyama. They also got Sissoko. I like that pick. Get him out for them in the second round. Just an upside swing. Rockets, I mean, they had a tremendous draft. Right, Amin Thompson, who admittedly, like, I think there's some red flags about him that are very concerning to me, just basketball-wise. He seems like a great dude. But basketball-wise, there's some stuff about him that's concerning. And Cam Whitmore, who, funny enough, was, like, projected to go fourth to them for, like, a tiny stretch of time during the draft process. He falls all the way to 20. The Rockets take him. And it's just a nice upside swing. And if one of those guys hits their potential, then they did a great job in this draft. So I think for them, they're huge winners. Am I worried about Cam Whitmore falling? Yeah. Was I in love with Cam Whitmore? No, I thought he was way overhyped as a top 5 guy. Athleticism is cool and all, but the feel for the game and the playmaking numbers are so drastically terrible that it would really scare me to take him top 5. Top 20 though? Oh, hell yeah. They did a great job. I thought the Jazz did really well too. Taylor Hendricks, who I like a lot, knockdown shooter, great defender. Bryce Sensabaugh too, who I think is going to be like immediately one of the most NBA ready scorers of this class. He just has an unbelievable bag. It's like insane. His numbers are crazy. You're like, why the fuck is this guy going so low? But then you realize like defensively he's not very good. Playmaking's a little and he's got some like weird need stuff going on. And Keontae George, who admittedly like I'm not like that in on Keontae George, but still for the Jazz, I thought they had a great draft. And the Pacers, they get my guy Jarris Walker. There was a tiny sliver of time where I thought Jarris Walker was going to fall to the Mavericks, and I was pacing, I was shaking, I was twerking. That was just something I regretted doing. And they also like traded down one spot so the Wizards could go up and draft Bilal, who I don't like that pick at all, really. I think he's so raw. And a lot of times I think we confuse raw with huge upside. Like sometimes raw just means raw. Like sometimes raw just means this guy's just not really ever going to develop into it. But the Pacers, man, there wasn't like a much better fit outside of the top 5 for any teams than like Jarris Walker and the Pacers. Like that was just such a natural sounding fit. So they did a great job, and they got second round picks for it. So tremendous job for the Pacers. But I do think outside of the top 5, I'm just looking at it, man. It's hard not to say the Mavericks aren't the biggest winners. Like I think they got their guy Lively anyway. They traded back into the first to get Omax, and all they did in that process was trade Bertans. Like what the fuck? When was the last time the Mavericks made a move like this? A move this smart and intelligent? I can't even recall. What a bunch of fucking morons.